Nintendo Switch players, you may have most things figured out, but you'd be surprised to find a few little tips and tricks in settings that your Nintendo Switch doesn't exactly tell you about. This will be especially helpful for Switch beginners. We've tackled some of this in the earlier days of the gameranx YouTube channel, but we've got some updated advice here for you to optimize your experience. And if you're a PS4 or Xbox One player, we got that covered for you in another video, so go check those out. But let's get started off with number 10. Just like any other gaming system, PC, or really any electronic, the Switch may end up freezing on you at one point. But seeing that this is a handheld system, you can't really just unplug it when it freezes to restart it. Obviously, holding down the power button for like 3 to 5 seconds is the go-to move to restart, but sometimes that doesn't work and you have to instead do a hard reset. This works the same way as a basic reset, but you instead have to hold down the power button for 10-ish seconds or however long it takes to hard reset. After this, wait like 30 seconds before turning it back on, and you should be good to go. If you're still having issues, you can always try maintenance mode, which you do by holding down the power button as you turn it on, and then holding the volume buttons down once the Nintendo logo pops up. From here, you can do a factory reset, which should really fix whatever problems you're having, but of course, that erases a lot of stuff. Really, hopefully one of these things solves your problem. But moving on to number 9, honestly, this next point isn't anything that's really important. It's just a cool Easter egg. You know how you can use any button to unlock the console? Hitting A 3 times to open it? Well, every single button makes the same exact sound except the right control stick, left control stick, ZR trigger, and ZL trigger. Using these buttons actually triggers some funny sounds. Like I said, this isn't anything really useful, but we thought it was fun to point out and we figured you'd want to know because most people end up just mashing the A button. I know I did, and I didn't know about this until I researched it. Considering I can always hit any button and I just never really thought to do so, it's kind of funny. Next at number 8, word for the wise, backing up your saves is a weird thing on Switch. Now that Nintendo's online service is a thing, you can back up your saves to the cloud so long as you're willing to pay the Nintendo Online membership fee. For beginners, you need to know this. This is the only way to back up your saves at all. So if you have like 300 hours in Breath of the Wild and you want to hold on to your save file with your life, that's your only bet. The bigger kicker though, say you have a Nintendo Switch hardware problem, something breaks, and you want to send it to Nintendo for repair or warranty service. Well, reports have shown that they pretty much wipe your stuff or send you a completely new unit, so you can kiss your Switch data goodbye. But hey, you may not have thought of this. If there's any way to access your Switch before you send it in, maybe your screen isn't shattered. A fun fact, you can just sign up for the Nintendo Online 7-day free trial thing and upload your stuff that way in a pinch, and then just cancel it later. But next at number 7, the Nintendo Switch itself isn't region locked, but your account is. So if you have a US-based account, you aren't able to purchase, play, or even see games that are sold in another region. A quick workaround for this is to actually make yourself a second account and set the region to Japan. Now you'll have access to a whole new eShop that has games that aren't on the US shop. Now certain credit cards and debit cards don't work on the other store though, so you just be aware that you might not be able to buy anything you want with your current payment option, but yeah, this is one that people talk about a lot. We thought this was a cool little workaround that lets you get access to more games, and more games is good, right? That's what we all want. But while we're on the topic of additional accounts, at number 6, making a second account is a good idea if you're someone who likes to have multiple saves in a game, because some games on Switch only let you have one save per game account, which is kind of weird. Breath of the Wild is one of those games. If you go to start a new playthrough on the account you already started playing on, you'll lose your previous save, which is a total bummer. So if you make another account on your Switch, you're able to start a new game without having to overwrite the save you already started. This isn't a console issue technically, but a game issue that's case by case really, but nonetheless, it still sucks. So hopefully this little tip will save you from having to overwrite pre-existing save files if you want to restart one of your favorite games. Now next at number 5, this one is technically more of a hardware point than a setting point, but it's still useful, and it's about the software and how it accepts your peripherals. I've seen a lot of beginners overlook this and not even try, but certain USB plug-and-play headsets work perfectly when the Switch is docked. It sounds obvious, but Nintendo is Nintendo, and stuff doesn't usually work out like this. People have done it with PlayStation headsets, third-party headsets. It's just great that Nintendo updated the Switch to allow this because, come on, it just makes sense. Not everybody has a bunch of different headsets lying lying around. You may just have a USB one. You don't have just like a regular straight Bluetooth pairing one. This will work for you. But since we're on the topic, it's also worth noting that the Joy-Con controllers can actually be paired as Bluetooth controllers for other devices like your PC or your Android phone. All you gotta do is obviously open your respective Bluetooth pairing settings menu in the device you wanna use, but on the Joy-Con, you press that small button between the triggers to activate the Bluetooth pairing mode, and then you're good to go. You can use them as two separate controllers, say if you wanna play something on your phone or your PC. If you wanna use it in certain ways, there are more tricks to it, but that's just the basics. It ain't ideal, but it's just kind of cool knowing that you can do stuff like this, right? Now at number 4, while we're on the subject of those pesky Joy-Cons and things you can do with them via the system's controller menu, let's talk about controller calibration. If you go into the system settings and select controller and sensors menu, you'll see the Switch has the option to recalibrate your Joy-Cons in 2 ways, depending on if you're having motion issues or issues with your thumbsticks. And now when calibrating the thumbsticks, it will show you what input is being received so you can see how your stuff is all out of whack. And if you need to go on a recalibration, it will walk you through the process to hopefully get your Joy-Cons back in the game. No pun intended, sorry. Calibrating your motion controls is a little different, but it'll still walk you through the process to level out your Joy-Con motion sensors and doesn't take long at all. I've actually seen some people just put up with finicky Joy-Cons and chalk it up to just sometimes their connection isn't good, but using this stuff that some people don't realize is there will actually help solve a lot of your problems. But next at number 3, if you're not familiar with airplane mode or never used it on your phone or anything like that, it's pretty much just a toggle to cut off all wireless connectivity, which includes, in the Switch's case, the detached Joy-Cons. You can toggle airplane mode on and off with the same quick access settings panel that you use for brightness and sleep mode. Keep in mind, you can't do it when it's docked. This is only a handheld thing. You know, this can be useful if you keep a second pair of Joy-Cons in your bag or something and want to stop your game from pausing unexpectedly when one of them is jostled in your bag and just connects to the Switch, since with airplane mode, they won't be able to connect wirelessly. It's a small feature, but it's worth mentioning because it'll save you some precious power from that time to when you need it. Now next at number 2, here's a really helpful one that we like to include in a lot of these tip videos. It may have slipped under your radar when tooling around with your Switch settings. You can actually set up your Nintendo Switch to match your TV power state. So when you turn on your docked Switch or pop it out of sleep mode or whatever, once it's on and you have an active connection, it'll turn on your TV so you can get right into it. Conversely, turning off the TV will also put the console itself into sleep mode. It's pretty cool and definitely a good quality of life improvement. You can get to this in the Switch system settings by going to TV settings subset and hitting that big fat match TV power state toggle. That's really it, but the more you know. Now finally, at number 1, something important. Look, we all lose controllers. You set it down for a second to go do something else or answer some text or something, and then when you get back, you just can't remember where you left it for the life of you. It happens. If you're looking for a Joy-Con though, you have an easy way to find it, at least, as long as it's still on. If you pop back out to the main menu and hit the controller options, once in that controller-specific menu, you just have to select Find Controllers, pick which controller you want to find, and that Joy-Con will then start buzzing for as long as you hold that button. It's pretty useful if you just misplaced it in the middle of a session, and it's definitely a cool feature to have on a console like the Switch, where the controllers can be so damn small and just begging to fall between the couch. So there you go. But those are 10 things the Nintendo Switch doesn't exactly tell you. We wanted to give you some fun, easy tips. Maybe you're a newcomer to the Nintendo Switch, or maybe you're just a fan who's never really realized. If you got any other tips for us, be sure to let us know in the comments. You know, we want to hear, and the people in the comments definitely do too. Clicking the like button if you learned something does help us out the most though. We would really appreciate that. But if you're new, you should consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because we put out new videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.